You're right on back with Indacarseat DatGuY SNnews. This is part 2 of this morning, May 12th, Wednesday morning broadcast brought to you, for you, about you, and all with you. Right here this morning at Missouri Avenue in Washington, D.C., Northwest portion, and Georgia Avenue is where we are bringing it to you, for you, and about you this morning, Wednesday morning it is. We were in the middle of our update around the world this morning. In the middle of our update around the world, breaking you headlines around the world. And we were in the midst of reciting to you some bad news story around the world in Israel. Israel, where there's a civil war amidst today. Today is May 12th. Wednesday. And as of last night, our Israel Prime Minister visited the City of Lod in Israel to evaluate the situation there. That remains to be a civil war. There in the center of the streets of the City of Lod in Israel is a burning vehicle. Reporting to you from SNnews, Journalist and Chief Broadcaster Terry Dwayne Ashford here in Washington, D.C., United States of America. We're bringing this report to you from New York Post. New York Post is reporting this and referencing the issues that's going on in Israel, where Israel is in what appears to be a rioting situation, battling Hamas. The Hamas. I'm Terry Dwayne Ashford. We'll be right on back with you for that headline around the world, during the headline around the nation segment of SNnews on this May 12th, Wednesday morning. Story in Israel, where there appears to be a state of emergency called by Israel's prime minister in a city called Lod over riots overnight. The emergency in the city occurred late Tuesday, where a mass riot broke out, escalating hostilities between Israel and Hamas, according to local reports. Those local reports were brought was sent to New York Post. This particular story, by the way, is coming from the New York Post here in America, and it's spooled to you this morning from Indacarseat DatGuY, Terry Dwayne Ashford, Journalist and Chief Broadcaster from SNnews, StreetNOW News here in Washington, D.C. We do show that the Prime Minister, Israeli Prime Minister, visited the mixed Jewish and Arab town overnight and has decried an anarchy in the streets that left 12 people injured. That was according to an Israeli newspaper there. We are looking here at what appears to be thousands of mourners joining a funeral in Lod overnight for an Arab man killed by a suspected Jewish gunman the previous night. And the crowd then clashed. And they clashed with each other, with police, and it set a synagogue and some 30 vehicles, including police cars, on fire, according to local report. Now, the city mayor there described the situation as a civil war. We're here in America right now, sitting here on the corner of Missouri Avenue here in Washington, D.C. Missouri Avenue here in Washington, D.C., the northwest portion at Georgia Avenue. We're sitting here right now providing you with this report from SNnews. SNnews Journalist and Chief Broadcaster Terry Dwayne Ashford. We're looking at pictures of burned, gutted buildings that was gutted by fire. We're looking at a vehicle that is set on fire in the middle of the city of Lod. There, it looks like a yellow mini caravan vehicle on fire right there, burned to scorches right there in the center of Lod, Israel. That occurred, according to the Getty image, occurred during the riots amidst the tensions between Israel and the Hamas. Tensions between Israel and the Hamas, where a crowd clashed with each other and with police, and about a man appearing to have been a Hamas man who was injured or killed in a Jewish between another man who happens to be of Jewish descent. Now, the government has ordered border guards from the West Bank be deployed to the city, while the Israeli Prime Minister would impose a curfew on the city if necessary. This particular news, again, is coming to you from SNnews here in Washington, D.C. Terry Dwayne Ashford, SNnews, StreetNOW News here in Washington, D.C., right at the corner of Missouri Avenue, Northwest Washington, D.C., at Georgia Avenue, reporting for you, with you, all about you. And right now you're getting your headlines around the world, all about you. This particular story is brought to us from the New York Post here in Washington, D.C., right upstate there, right up the way there. New York Post is bringing us this story, and it's been delivered to you from SNnews Journalist and Chief Broadcaster Terry Dwayne Ashford. To you, for you, all about you. One of the things that Indacarseat DatGuY, Terry Dwayne Ashford, has always said, this. One of the things that distinguish us as humans from primates and other forms of animals is the fact that we're able to reason. We have judgment. We can think for ourselves. When we are placed here as humans, we have the ability, the protective responsibility, I think, over the earth, and I think that's what omniscient gods have provided to humans that He doesn't give to other forms of animals. From that, we gather that one of the distinguishing factors of a human versus a lower phylum animal, according to the classification of taxonomy, is fact that we're able to reason and communicate and work through our issues and our tragedies like this, what you see going on around the world here. Tragedies with reason and with judgment, and we're able to think through it. We don't have to fight like the animals of the zoo and the animals of the jungle. I think the animal of the zoo was a very, very wrong statement to have come out of my mouth on that, because I think the animals of the zoo have even reflect more of a civilized nature as opposed to animals of a jungle. So more reflective of what I was trying to say is animals of the jungle have to fight their way through and hustle and bustle and bust people's faces and stuff like that, or busts other animals' faces and things like that. Just put it into a visual perspective for you. Well, once you become a human, or once you become civilized, you learn to reason. You learn to think through a situation. You learn to talk about it. You learn to communicate. Your news this morning is coming from Terry Dwayne Ashford, SNnews, and we're talking about the Israeli Civil War in the City of Lod on that occurred overnight, May 11th. Occurred May 11th, Tuesday night, where there's a civil war going on right now, on May 12th, Wednesday morning, across the world. For SNnews, we're reporting this particular story from you, opinion and commentary from Terry Dwayne Ashford, SNnews, and we're bringing it to you from Washington, D.C., we're reporting on a story that was delivered to us through New York Post here in Washington, D.C. I'm Terry Dwayne Ashford, SNnews. You are live with us right now, live with the SNnews, L-I-V-E, live. You're also joining in right now. If you're coming in right now, you're coming in on part two of our Wednesday morning, May 12th, 2021 program broadcast this morning. We're bringing you headlines around the world. And this morning we're talking about the civil war that is happening right now, right this day in Israel, City of Lod in Israel, where Israelis are in a battle against Hamas. Regarding that occurred over the shooting of a man the night before. We're not going to talk a whole lot about this. We don't want to talk a whole lot about the negative stories around the world, but we do want you to know what is going on and how people are reacting to situations that you never know when it's going to happen to you. I'm sitting here right now and we are analyzing photographs of fire-gutted buildings in Israel, the City of Lod. We're looking at fire-gutted building where buildings were set fire, and the actual building was gutted with fire. We're sitting here looking at also a vehicle that's burned in the middle of the street of City of Lod due to fighting in civil war. We're also looking at the fact, according to the New York Post article, that of the government, they're ordering border guards from West Bank to be deployed to the city, and also where the Israeli Prime Minister might even impose a curfew. Now, this particular city is located about 16 miles away from Tel Aviv, which was targeted by the militant group Hamas. Now, the group is called a militant group, Hamas. They've actually launched a barrage of rockets from the Gaza Strip. A barrage of rockets have been launched by the group Hamas. And I won't call them a militant group. I'll call them a group right now until I get more information on that. But New York Post is calling it a militant group, Hamas, which barraged a rockets launched from the Gaza Strip that may be imposing threats upon the City of Lod. Here in Washington, D.C., you're getting your news from SNnews Terry Dwayne Ashford. SNnews Terry Dwayne Ashford on the civil war that is going on right now on May 12th, Wednesday morning. The results of that civil war is being reported to you from SNnews here in Washington, D.C., brought to you through New York Post in New York, America. I'm Terry Dwayne Ashford, SNnews. I'm your journalist and chief broadcaster. And the cover photograph is that was taken this morning at 6 a.m. This particular program is produced by Terry Dwayne Ashford. It's reporting by Terry Dwayne Ashford, the voice of Terry Dwayne Ashford, directed by Terry Dwayne Ashford, managed by Terry Dwayne Ashford, and Indacarseat DatGuY production and management company. The face on the cover of this particular broadcast is the face that was taken this morning on May 12th, approximately 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to close out with that for you this morning. Thank you for your listening.